Imagine waking up before sunrise, after sleeping on a pile of straw, inside a dark hut filled with smoke, your stomach already empty. You will work up to 16 hours today. Your food will mostly be bread and watery soup, and if the harvest fails, you might starve. This was normal life for a medieval peasant. In fact, during the Middle Ages, about 90% of people were peasants. They farmed the land, fed the kingdoms, and supported the entire social system. But their lives were far harsher than most people imagine. Today, we're going to explore the brutal reality of medieval peasant life, from the homes they lived in, to the food they barely survived on, and the surprising event that eventually changed their fate forever. 1. Their homes were dark and smoky. Most peasants lived in small villages surrounded by farmland. Their homes were simple huts built from wood, mud, and straw. Roofs were thatched with dried plants. And inside the house, conditions were rough. There were usually no proper windows, and often no chimney. The fire burned in the center of the house. Smoke slowly filled the room before escaping through the roof. The floor wasn't wood or stone, it was simply packed dirt. Furniture was minimal. A rough wooden table, a few stools, and bedding made from straw. But one detail might surprise you. During winter, animals often slept inside the house. Cows, pigs, and chickens might share the same space as the family. It was warmer, but it also meant noise, smell, and disease. 2. Their food was extremely simple. Medieval feasts with roasted meat and wine existed. But peasants almost never experienced them. Their diet was extremely basic. The most common food was pottage, a thick soup made from vegetables, grains, and whatever ingredients were available. Cabbage, beans, onions, herbs. Bread was the second essential food, but even bread was not always good quality. During bad harvests, bread could contain mixed grains, roots, or even ground bark. Meat was rare. Animals were valuable for farming, milk, or eggs, so slaughtering them for food was uncommon. Many peasants ate meat only a few times per year, and if harvests failed, entire villages could face famine. 3. Work started before sunrise. Peasant life revolved around farming. Work usually began before sunrise, and during busy seasons it continued until sunset. Tasks included plowing fields, planting crops, harvesting grain, repairing tools, caring for animals. Harvest season was especially intense. Some peasants worked 14 to 16 hours a day. And everyone worked: men, women, even children. From a young age, children helped with farming, collecting firewood, or watching animals. Life was physically exhausting, and there was almost no retirement. Many people worked until their bodies simply couldn't anymore. 4. Peasants were not really free. Another brutal part of peasant life was the feudal system. Most peasants did not own the land they farmed. The land belonged to a local lord. In exchange for using the land, peasants had to give part of their harvest to him. But that was not all. They also had to perform labor duties. Working the lord's fields, repairing roads, building structures, and they still had to pay taxes to the church, so after months of hard work, a large portion of their food and labor went to others. 5. Disease was everywhere. Life expectancy for medieval peasants was short. Many people died in their 30s or 40s. Medical knowledge was limited. Doctors were rare and expensive. Most people relied on herbal remedies or local healers. Hygiene was also very different from today. Bathing was uncommon. Clean water was not always available, and parasites like fleas and lice were extremely common. But the greatest disaster came in the 14th century. The Black Death, one of the deadliest pandemics in history. 6. The Black Death between 1347 and 1351. The Black Death spread across Europe. carried by fleas living on rats. The disease spread rapidly between crowded towns and villages. Symptoms included fever, swelling, and blackened skin. Death often came within days. Historians estimate that up to 1/3 of Europe's population died. Entire villages disappeared. Fields were abandoned, and the medieval world changed forever. But strangely, this tragedy also created a new opportunity for peasants, and we'll get to that in a moment. 7. Winter could be deadly. Winter was one of the hardest seasons. Food supplies ran low, work slowed down, and harsh weather made survival difficult if the harvest had been poor. Families might face months of hunger, malnutrition weakened the body, and disease spread more easily. Many peasants did not survive the winter. 8. Religion gave meaning to suffering in such a difficult life. Religion played an important role. The church was central to medieval society. Peasants believed strongly in heaven, hell, and divine judgment. Their suffering was often seen as part of God's plan. Church services, festivals, and religious holidays were some of the few breaks from daily labor. They provided moments of celebration and community. 9. The Black Death changed peasant life. After the Black Death, something unexpected happened. So many workers had died that labor suddenly became valuable. Surviving peasants were in demand. In some regions, they began demanding higher wages, better conditions, more freedom. Over time, this weakened the feudal system. Slowly, the balance of power began to shift. The medieval world was changing. Life as a medieval peasant was harsh. Long hours of labor, simple food, disease, famine, and heavy obligations. Yet peasants were also the foundation of medieval society. They fed the kingdoms, they worked the land. And without them, the entire system would collapse. Their lives were difficult, but their resilience shaped the world that came after, and their story remains one of the most powerful echoes of the past. If you enjoy exploring the hidden realities of history, subscribe to Echoes of the Past, because sometimes the most fascinating stories are not about kings or battles, but about the ordinary people history almost forgot.